Well, this is, I guess you could say it's semi-clickbait, but it is a story of going to a hospital in another state and COVID-19 almost killing me. All right, it's going to be a long story, and I'm going to tell you from the boring beginning to the exciting end. So, I'm sorry if you can't deal with that part. But it's like if I don't tell you, you miss out on all the juiciness. So I go and visit my son in Oregon. He is getting married. And I wanted to be there to see him and all that fun stuff. And it's just me. Literally just me. So I go by myself. I wasn't feeling great. I'm sitting there thinking I'd come down with the flu. And it was just a mild case because I've had the flu before and I've had pneumonia. And this was like, this is nothing like what it was. I was like, what? So while I'm there, we go and visit some sites. I've got freaking sinus headache that would not go away to save my life. I mean, it was just, I couldn't breathe. It's all clogged. And those of you who know the little trick of, just put there and put a little bit of pressure there, you can feel if it's tender or not. And it was like, ugh. So I was like, I've got sinus issues. Jesus, let me get through here, have some fun with my son and his new wife, and just make it home. That's all I want to do. Well, I freaked him out because we were over at his place, and he's got to take her back to the airport. So we were getting ready to go, and I got to the front door, and I said, honey, I just don't feel good. And I just fell over because I've got a vagal thing, and if I'm stressed or too emotional and with a pain, I will pass out. That's just me. And I did. And my son caught me. He laid me on the beanbag, and he immediately called 911 because as far as he was concerned, his mom just had a seizure. No, I didn't have a seizure. It was kind of funny now, but it wasn't funny to him at that time. So he calls the ambulance. The ambulance gets there. He won't let me get up, but he's loving on me because he thinks his mom's going. It's okay, honey. Just be calm. The ambulance guys get there. Very professional. They did the normal thing of, have you been exposed to COVID? Do you have COVID? It's like, not that I know of. No, I have not been exposed to it. Not that who the hell knows? I don't go around asking every spot that floats in the air, are you COVID? So, it took a temperature. I had like a mild temperature. It's something that most of them would be like, it's nothing. I think it was like 100.2 or something. And what else? Oh, my EKG, because I passed out, so they did one of those, and it was kind of like all over the place. It was like was so hot, and I couldn't sit up because I kept wanting to pass out again. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And the EKG isn't really showing anything diagnostic on it. I was like, yeah, probably a good idea you take me to the hospital, and we'll do some blood work and make sure, I didn't have a heart attack or something, because that just seemed odd. So they get an IV in me in the ambulance, where I proceeded to almost pass out again before they decided, we're going to lay you down. I was like, oh, that's good, because I feel so much better when I'm laying down. They did another little EKG in there too. They had my IV drip going, and they gave me oxygen in the back of the ambulance. Not really knowing what was going on, I was like, oh, it's probably a safe bet. So I get 2 liters of oxygen, which felt great considering I was being forced to wear a mask as well. And when your sinuses are all, it's like, yeah, you kind of want some help breathing. So I get to the hospital, and I get in there, and they already have me on suspect of having COVID. It's like, what the hell? All right. They asked me, well, how are you feeling? Have you had these symptoms? Have you lost your taste? Have you lost your smell? I was like, no. I've got a really bad sinus headache, and I've been having a sinus headache. I just can't get that to go away. And I keep taking Tylenol for it, and it's just not going. That's not going away. They're like, oh, okay. Oh, that could be COVID. Now, mind you, one of the first things they did was they did a test. That stupid thing straight back, which was uncomfortable. But in a way, I'm sitting there thinking when he did it, I was like, I wonder if he'll be able to pick all them boogers out and I'll be able to breathe out of one of my nostrils. I know that sounds really gross, but it was a weird goal to have. I figured if I was going to endure it, maybe there'd be some good come out of it and I could breathe out of one nostril. No, that didn't help. Didn't help at all. So anyways, they go through the rigmarole. They take my temperature. It's about the same. They're going through, they give me another EKG, and I guess the COVID test comes back fairly quickly because the COVID test comes in and the weird shit started happening. They came in and they took my oxygen away. Well, you don't need this anymore. You're positive. Okay, why the hell would you take my oxygen away? So now, where it was like 98, 97%, now I'm hovering around 93 because I can't breathe out of my nose and I'm huffing and puffing in this mask that you make me wear. But, you know, why would anything make sense? So then they took the oxygen away. Now they want to give me a chest x-ray because it's COVID. So now, you know, obviously I'm going to have chest issues, which apparently was disappointing because, well, your chest x-ray was clear. And they looked puzzled when they said it. And I was like, well, yeah, okay. I have sinuses, not chest, sinuses. But that didn't compute because it was like as soon as you mentioned one thing that in their mind it had to be everything that related to any kind of sickness only related to COVID. Only. The fever that I had, the constant sinus pain that I kept complaining about did not exist. Did not exist. I was like, all right, here's my goal. I'm not going to argue with these people because obviously I'm losing and their goal is not to make me better. It is to get out of here with hopefully something that will help me. They did offer me a Regeneron infusion, which I took. I figured, at least I'll have immunity. Because I didn't really feel, it's like I don't feel like I really have this, but at least I'll have immunity. That was the next day. I left, still got nothing for my sinuses, but it was COVID. It'll be better. When you get over COVID, your sinuses will magically clear up and go away. It's like, okay. So I go the next day, I get the Regeneron treatment, which I can honestly say, other than the fact that it was my sinuses, I just felt, as far as breathing was, it was really no difference. I felt good in breathing. I didn't have that issue. It felt really nice. I wish I maybe have had COVID, or maybe I had COVID. I don't really know. I can't really go there yet. But anyways, Regeneron for you if you really need it. It doesn't hurt. So while I'm getting this Regeneron afterwards, now my fever is spiking to around 102. And I told, because they got a nurse practitioner, and he's asking me, they're thinking, because I have COVID, that it must be a COVID thing. And it never comes into their mind that it's an infection. And I tell him, I said, well, I have sinuses. I have a sinus headache. I have all this pain in sinuses, and I can't get it to go away. Oh, but you've had this since you've been sick. Well, yeah, it's my sinus hurts. And it just, oh, okay, well, it's normal. If it gets any worse, you come back. Well, I go lay down after I get back to my son's house. I'm laying down. And my son has to go back to work. So as I'm laying there and this Regeneron goes through and my sinus headache is getting worse and worse, and now my teeth are beginning to hurt and it's becoming painful. And I'm sitting there thinking, I should have put on my thinking camp. It's really hard to think when you don't feel good. And it would probably have been a really smart idea if my husband was there. Unfortunately, he was in this state because he could have been my advocate. But I had to be sick and advocate for myself and really think outside the box, because at this point, I'm laying there in horrific pain with 102-degree temperature and unable to get it down. And now my teeth are hurting. And I'm thinking to myself, it has to be an actual infection. It is not just some virus that these people keep telling me that I have because they don't want to see anything else. And so when my son gets back, I said, we have to go. I've got to go. I don't care how we do it, but I'm going to make them give me some antibiotics. And I told my son, because I love that boy, but he's kind of asleep, that it's teeth. It's my tooth. My tooth is infected. My tooth hurts. I'm going back. We're going back. So we get back. I got to wait outside because I'm COVID positive. I got to wait outside in the smog, which isn't just smog because they've had fires. It's just smoke smog everywhere with all the other COVID patients who are breathing in smoke, because that makes a hell of a lot of sense. And by the way, they've got Regeneron that they can hand out like candy to people, but they don't do that. So I'm waiting. An hour goes by, and of course, yes, I'm the person that will pass out because I'm in pain. And I'm going, here, the next movement is I'm going to be on the floor because I'm not going to fall on cement. I will embarrass this hospital and look like one of them crazy people laying in the road. I don't care what story goes with that one. Well, anyways, eventually I get back there, and they sit there and they ask me, what's going on? I said, I've got a fever. I swear it's my tooth. It feels awful. I didn't even mention my sinuses because last time I mentioned my sinuses, it's COVID. It's COVID, it's COVID, it's COVID, and they would not stop. It's COVID. So I sit there and say, it's my tooth. It's not swollen. See? It's not swollen. I don't have swollen teeth. I sit there, I've got cavity that you can see back there. And I was like, that's for the one that's going to be used. Sorry, teeth, you ugly ass. But you're going to be on display today. So I'm telling them, yeah, it's my tooth. The nurse finally gets in there. And she's, well, they don't look pretty. Yeah, they don't. But oh my gosh, they hurt so bad. I was so irritated. Obviously, it's like I had the things that they would be acceptable with. I had a fever. See my thumb? I had a fever. I'm complaining of it being a tooth. I know what to say because of my prior medical experience dealing. And they don't look great because I have a cavity and need to go get it filled. And I finally get some antibiotics. They give me a dose of antibiotics while I'm there. Within 2 hours, because I have no idea how long I spent in there afterwards, I could sit in the bed and I wasn't having to shake myself, like this because I'm in so much pain. I could sit and relax. I mean, I still had a fever, but I wasn't in so much pain. I was shaking. All because they did not want to treat the infection because they wanted to pawn it all off as a COVID problem. I would have died of, septicemia or shock. These people are killing people. But Lord knows how many malpractice problems that they are doing just because they don't want to admit that it could be something besides their crazy little ass says.